First of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. Today we will have our orientation webinar for the practical phase. So Dr. Vas, Dr. B and I will talk about on how to succeed in the practical phase. Okay, thank you again. So let's start. So for today's agenda, we will have a brief recap on what's X culture, next how to start the practical phase, what to expect, a brief talk about the post-reflection phase, prize, and Q&A session. Okay.
Rafael, if I may, just 1 second, can you go back to that slide?
Sure.
So for the culture students who participated before, so for every season and for every symposium, we have a closed Facebook group. And so somebody 3 days ago posted a memory from this event from Italy. So the picture we have here. And you know what, all those memories came back. I mean, it was such a good event. All of them were good events. But I don't know, I really miss the time when we finally get together like this in this photo and have some fun together. Like this is a photo from Italy. So it was at the company that makes light fixtures. And so we had a meeting with the company management and then did a picture. So I don't know, I just wanted to say that I really miss the time when we get together face to face. I truly hope that soon we will be back on the road, traveling to those places. And so those of you who are participating in Mixed Culture this semester, I hope that in 2022, we will see at least some of you at our next event. We're still thinking about the place. So
right. I think the name of that company was Il Guzzini.
Yeah,
Il Guzzini. And they were the ones that made the lighting for London Bridge or Tower Bridge, the Eiffel Tower, and the Washington Memorial, among other very exclusive monuments around the world. Mm-hmm. So a very impressive company.
Yeah.
Okay, so to start off, I will just ask Dr. Vas to give them a brief recap of what's X culture, what are the benefits, and the difference between professionals and academic.
Dr. B, maybe you better explain this, so that's sort of your jurisdiction. I'll talk more about the deadlines and the surveys and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk very quickly about the overview of X culture. Can you guys see me okay? Because my computer is not cooperating, so I have to stay on my cell. Yeah? Okay, so
unless Rafael wants to put speaker view while we are speaking, so we got the slide. So
yeah. So X culture actually is originated from the university track from a consortium of 400 universities around the world. And I think it's maybe more now, right? So
it's over 900 over the years, and it's about 180 this semester.
Right. So currently we have a university track running, and I believe in this semester we have about 6,000 students. Now, a few years back, Dr. Vas had this brilliant idea of maybe opening this possibility up for high school students. And it really, I think, stemmed from a lot of faculty members wanting to have their teenage children start to experience X culture, so that it would give them an opportunity to learn about cultural intelligence, and it would also help them prepare for the university and maybe get some added exposure to the university system. And of course, you guys get an additional certificate that may help you apply to university. So in that sense, we have two tracks. We have the university track, and then, of course, where you guys are right now is the academy track. And the academy track, it's students from all over the world, ages 13. Actually, we've had them as young as 10. But the ideal age group, because I think maturity, or we think maturity, is a little bit better from age 13 to 19. You guys are put together in global virtual teams, which Dr. Vas will talk about now. And you guys are actually running in the same track as the university students and working at the same capacity, same projects, and same kind of system. So I'll let Dr. Vas talk more about the technical part of it.
So would you like me to start right away, Rafael?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
okay, nice.
Rafael.
So,
Wait a minute. I need to talk about something else first.
okay, go ahead then.
Just let me share the screen again. So just I want to tell you guys that as Dr. Bim mentioned, how many students will you have for the practical phase? Actually, I didn't have the final number, but as Dr. Pitt said, we have more than 6,000 students for the practical phase and more than 80 countries. Okay.
It's actually a little bit strange this semester. So we normally would have about 1,000, a little bit more in the early track, and then another 4,000 to 5,000 in the late track. But for some reason, the number of participants in the early track almost doubled this time. So we have 2.1 thousand. So it's almost twice as much as all the previous years. And so we're still getting applications for the late track. So we don't know how many people will be there. So I'm saying that it will be a total of about 6,000 as the last semester, but it's actually possible it will be larger than usual. So we'll have to see. So somehow, I don't know, we see a little bit increase, an unusual increase in the early track. So we'll see if that's also going to translate into the late track, or is it some people moved from the late to the early? We'll have to see how things work.
Yeah, and I don't want to get the students confused because this is Academy that we're talking, our audience right now is Academy. But we do have two groups going at the same time. So as I said, we have the university virtual students, and then we have the Academy, right? And because you guys are starting in this at the same time, we are calling you guys the late track because your start is actually getting added to the late track university students. I did miss something, Rafael. So before, if you could put me back on screen, before we move on to the practical phase, I forgot to add in the benefits of you guys participating in X-Culture. So, or X-Culture Academy. So I already mentioned that that you guys would get the experience of cultural intelligence. I also mentioned that you guys actually will get a certificate and a letter of recommendation that you could use to apply for the university. But in addition to that, you actually will make friends from all over the world, which is an effort on your part, right? You have to make the effort to connect with your peers, to make friends with your peers, and to build a relationship with them that could be long lasting. The other benefit that I think goes back to that first slide that Dr. Vas talked about Italy, is that once the pandemic is over, we can actually invite you, and or let me correct myself, we will be inviting the best among you. So we will be inviting of the all virtual and academy students, the top 10% to come to that on-ground global conference. It's very similar to what we do here, where for the first 5 weeks, you work on a project, but on that last week, so it's a 6 weeks program, right, over the summer. But in that last week, we travel together and we have only 200 seats. So if you get invited and you apply, we will look at everybody's X-Culture accomplishments. Of course, you have to fund yourself. So this is a fairly costly event, right? It's about between $1,200 to $1,500 for the week.
Although we will help in some way, in many different ways. So likely there will be some funding provided through different channels. So
right. And then of course you will go to a host university. We're looking at right now the University of District of Columbia. Lynn University, actually, where I teach as a professor, actually opened up its doors just recently. And then we're also looking at a university in Asia. And of course, in 2020, we canceled Singapore Management University. That's still in play, although we realize that the cost is very, it's almost cost prohibitive. So, but we'll talk more about that. But the point is that you would be invited to participate, and perhaps secure one of those 200 seats and be at Global with us. Okay, so now, Dr. Vas, the technical part.
Rafael, did you want to say something else before?
Yes, just a brief word. So how to start the practical phase? So first, you guys will receive an approval email, approval letter that will contain all your previous test results, okay? Then you guys will need to submit your documents for a stipend if you need the stipend. The link was provided in your acceptance letter, but if you lost the link, you can send me an email. I can resend the link again. Okay. Payments due October 1st. And now Dr. Vas will talk about the link to resource page and how to start the practical phase.
Yes. Yes. So, and Rafael, maybe you will give some time later some statistics on where we stand in terms of how many people passed or didn't pass the test and how many participants we have. But yes, starting next week, once you are in the practical phase, for all intents and purposes, you will be in the university track. So we have sort of three distinct group of participants. Our main group are university students. Many of them are MBA students, some of them are undergraduate business students, but that's our main sort of body of participants. Then we have the pre-college teenagers, which I assume most of you are. So these are usually 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Most of them are like the last 2 years of school, and they will be applying to colleges very soon. And then we also have some professionals, as we call them. So that's adults, but non-students. So, oops, yeah. So it's adults, non-students who are interested in participating in X culture, but they are not affiliated with the university. And so they go in a separate category. And so until the moment when teams are formed, we manage all those three groups as separate groups. So I've been working with the university students, and then Dr. B and Rafael have been managing, and Emily and Tejas and Ania here. So they've been working primarily with the teenagers. And so we have these sort of different tracks. So for the difference at this time is that the non-students are required to complete 4 weeks of pre-project training. And we talked with you before about why we do it. So the main reason is, one, we want to make sure that you come in prepared, but also two, it's a selection tool. So when you will be placed on teams, we want to make sure that only people who are serious about the project, who have the discipline, who have the motivation, who have the skills and competencies to be in the teams. You wouldn't want to have someone on the team who is not serious, who misses team meetings, who perhaps is not motivated or disciplined enough to carry on through the project for all 8 weeks. And so this theoretical phase, it's both to prepare you, but also to make sure that you can sustain that level of performance for an extended period of time. We don't do that with the university students, so they still have to do training and a test, but it's much shorter. And the reason for that is that we expect that the university students, being not only older, but also coming from universities, from business programs, we expect that they already had some training. So they are taking international business courses. They have done a lot of team-based projects. They know other areas of business, such as marketing, logistics, management, and so on and so on. And so the expectation is that they do not need as much preparation as non-university students. So therefore, for the university students, it's a little bit easier. So they just take training, take one test, and then we place them on teams. With you guys, it's 4 weeks of preparation and 4 tests. We want to be sure, absolutely sure, that you're prepared. But then once you pass the tests and they pass the tests, we put you in one gigantic cohort, and that's where sort of the fun begins. So there will be a total of, so we have about 350 teams in the early track, university students only. They already started and they've been working for about 4 weeks. And then the late track starts next week. And so that's the track that you will join. So there will be roughly 4,000 university students, and we expect several hundred of non-student participants to pass all 4 tests and be placed on teams as well. So Rafael has more specific numbers, but it was about 1,000 applications, but not everyone will be able to pass the test. And then from that point on, it's pretty simple and pretty easy. So let me share my screen here and show you what you need to know. So there is a resource page, very similar to the one that you used before for the training. So this time it's a little bit different in terms of the content, but the idea is the same. So you will get the team assignment with the link to the training page. Here you will see training materials for the university students. You can probably skip them. You kind of covered that in your 4-week training, although there are some things here for university students that was not part of the academy training. Like for example, one of our professors from Singapore prepared a wonderful, what he calls matrix series. So it's a bunch of educational videos for business consulting. So you're welcome to take a look at that. It's optional. There is also a crash course on international business. Again, you might want to take a look. I think it was not part of the training. Then you have the schedule, and that's again the schedule for the practical phase only. So when the project is over, you also will have the reflection phase, 4 weeks. The university students will be done. So they submit their reports, get the grades, and they're done. For the academy students, we will have a little bit more activities in December to close up the project. But this is the schedule for when you are on teams. So what you do, how it goes, and again, the teams will be formed on October the 4th, and then we will have 8 weeks of work. You have also instructions for submitting your work. So when you will be done as a team, you will be submitting your reports, team reports, through Turnitin. So it's a software that checks your work for plagiarism. And so each and every single report will be evaluated for plagiarism. We hardly ever see any problems with that, but occasionally we may see a team that copied and pasted substantial chunks of the report. So we don't want that. Then we have the list of the webinars, and I think you saw this file. So that's all of the upcoming webinars and all of the past webinars. So we have the orientations here and all that stuff. And I think we need to move a couple of these things. Some companies, by the way, have weekly webinars. Like for example, one company wants to meet with you if you choose them as a client. They are available to meet every week. Other companies do a few webinars, but nothing unusual here. Then we've had already a bunch of webinars during your theoretical training phase. And so I'm not sure how many of them you attended, but if you didn't attend any of them, you can always find the recording. We also invite often speakers who talk about different topics, from some international business topics to generic orientations or motivational speeches. Again, some of the most interesting ones, we recorded the copies here. So there will be more webinars, live webinars, as they are scheduled, and you will find the schedule here. So that's a link. Now, there are 13 companies that you can choose from this semester. And you can find them here. And so you can start looking at them now. You will have to choose one company as a team. So one company per team. And as a team, you have to agree on which one you choose. Sometimes, in fact, I imagine it's probably often, the situation could be that maybe you want to work on the advanced super abrasives challenge. And maybe your team member wants to work on differ or maybe on D2. And so how do you select the company when you have a disagreement within a team? Well, we think that it's a nice sort of educational opportunity to make the decision as a team. And so we deliberately leave that choice up to the team, with the only condition that you have to agree all together. And so I guess you'll have to negotiate. I mean, we hope that, you perhaps can convince the rest of the team, or maybe someone will convince you. Ultimately, it's not really that important which challenge you choose, but that negotiation, that discussion, that, team collective choice, it's a nice exercise. I mean, as you will be working with people from different countries, you will always have to negotiate about something. And here you have a nice, opportunity to practice that. Just to give you a couple of examples of what the companies are this semester. So Advanced Super Abrasives, this is a company that makes grinding wheels. Like for example, there is a Mars rover on Mars, the planet Mars now, and it's drilling the stones to look for signs of life. So the drill and the grinding wheel that the robot on Mars is using was made here in North Carolina, in my city, by this company. And so likewise, they make abrasive wheels for just about any kind of industry. CapSource is another American company. They specialize in virtual internships for students. They're kind of somewhat similar to Xculture, but they have a very different business model. So then something interesting, like, for example, I don't know, G2 Capacitation. It's a Mexican company that specializes in consulting or counseling for people who have experienced a loss. Like, for example, if somebody died in your family or a friend, often people go through, like through some psychologically difficult times. And so this company develops training and consulting for people in that situation. So it's a very unusual kind of product. I didn't even think that such a product exists, but we met with the company. They talked about what they do, who the clients are. And so I found that to be an unusual but interesting company. So maybe some of you want to work on it. Jackpack Colombia, they make bags. So they basically make backpacks and all kinds of other bags. So very popular in Colombia, now ready to expand into new markets. And so they wanted to our help with that. Salad Ventures from Singapore. It's a very interesting, like, again, I didn't even know that such a concept exists. But so what these guys do, they sell virtual goods in video games. And the way they make money is they hire by now hundreds of video gamers who play video games for this company, earn virtual goods, virtual money, and then the company resells those virtual goods on the second-hand market. And so they pay substantial amounts of money, it's like hundreds of dollars per month, to play video games. So they pay you to play, but then whatever, like every time you slay a dragon and earn a coin, that coin goes to the company, and then the company uses those coins to buy goods and then sell those goods for real money. Like, I didn't even know that such a thing exists, but apparently it's a huge deal for video gamers. So I thought it's an interesting concept that you might want to look at. Nova Brink, they make toys, like plastic toys, wood toys. Radico, they make hair products, so like natural coloring for hair and things like that. Wheelstare is a very interesting company. So for people who are handicapped, reduced mobility, have to use a wheelchair, the big challenge is going up and down stairs. Like, you can go on the flat ground in the wheelchair, but once you get to the stairs, how do you go up the stairs? And so this company makes attachments for the wheelchairs that turn the wheelchair essentially in like a Land Rover. So it allows you to go through any terrain, including stairs. So it's an interesting, so it basically makes sort of robots or machines that turn a wheelchair into sort of all-terrain vehicle. So you can take a look at it. And Xculture Academy, our own organization, is one of the clients. So we are trying to do some new things, and we would like your input and ideas for how we can do it better. And so our own company is one of the clients, so we would like your help. Now, in full disclosure, on the resource page, we also provided some resources that we prepare for instructors, so for professors. And so we thought, why not? So this is the training for the professors, and professors have to complete training as well. But we thought maybe you want to see that. Why not? Maybe you want to learn more. So maybe one day you want to be a teacher, a professor. So here are some resources as well. But yeah, that's basically it when it comes to the resources. And then from that point on, it's very simple. October 4th, probably towards the end of the day, you will receive an email that will say, hey, John, hey, Bob, hey, Rajesh, here is your team. So 7 people, probably 7 different countries. You will originally get the emails only. So you will only have the name, the country where the person is from, and the email address. And you will contact them by email. And so once you are in touch by email, you can choose to communicate with the team in any other way possible. So you had a whole training module on communication tools, Dropbox, Google Docs, Slack, Trello, Zoom, Skype, Doodle, and so on and so forth. And your team can choose any communication tools that you wish. And so once you connect by email, you can then create a group maybe, or you can use video calls, whatever works for you. But yes, your first task will be establish contact with your team. So on the day when you get the emails, send an email to the whole team and basically say, hey, my name is, let me find a name from the participant list, someone real. Like, for example, my name is Aisha Tabitha. And so I am from country XYZ, and I'm a high school student. I'm 17. I like music. I like sports, and I like, I don't know, painting. And so, hey guys, how are you doing? Everybody else will probably reply with a similar email. And so you start talking. And then the first task that you need to do as a task for the team, you would need to select your client company. So here, what you need to do is you essentially need to go to that resource page, look on all available client companies, and then select one as a team. And you'll have, I think, you need to make that selection by the end of week 2. And so once you select the client company, then it's very simple. You basically go through the schedule, and let me open one of those client company challenges so you can see what they look like. So I'll open the super abrasives, the first one. So here, as you can see, you have a PDF file for each company like this one. On the PDF file, you will have all of the links to the websites, and like this company has several websites for different regions of the world. They have a YouTube channel, they have a Facebook page, so you can look at there. But then you have a description of the company, so a little of like history. So the company is about 30 years old. A little bit information about what they make, some photos of the factory and stuff like that. These are the products that they make, and so on and so forth. But then here, this is where they ask for your help. So the challenge, and they say, we need your help with industry and competition analysis. We need your help selecting the new market. We need your help with marketing strategy. So tell us how we can promote our product through which channels, what the message should be, maybe help us design our promotional materials. But then also we need your help with management. So what's the best entry mode for the new market? Any research that you've done that gives us some information about the logistics, like the best way to ship our product? What are the trade regulations, certification, and things like that? Also notice that in each challenge, you will have the evaluation rubrics right here. So this is how your work will be evaluated. And so you can literally evaluate your work yourself before you submit it using the same rubrics. But in any case, more importantly, then you have instructions on what the report should look like. So you will have the report 15 to 30 pages, I believe it says. And so you would have to include like the title page, the executive summary, then each of the report sections. You use APA 6 style to cite your sources. And then you have a little bit information here on the formatting of the page. And then you have the schedule. And so right here, you will see that you take the tests before the project is starts, teams are formed. And then on October the 4th, the teams will be formed. But then yes, first deadline, just communicate with your team members. Next deadline, meet your team members, try to learn as much as possible about them. Next one, select your client company. Next one, write the first section of your report. Next one, write the second section of your report. Next one, write the third section of your report. Then next one, submit the full draft. So you will have everything in that file, but it's not polished, it's not finished. It's whatever you have at that time, put it all together. And then finally submit the final report via Turnitin. And then when you're done with all of those reports, your last task is to complete the post-project survey. Every week, that's also important, let me show you. Every week you will receive an email basically from me that will ask you to report will ask you to report your progress in the project. And so it will look something like this. So this is the email that I sent to myself to remind myself that I need to do the survey. So let me open a different one. So this one here. So every week, usually on Wednesday, you will receive an email that looks like this. It will say, hi, Vas, in my case, I added myself as a student to the task. Here is your personal weekly progress survey link. You have to complete it by the end of the week. So I basically have until, that was last week, so I had until the end of the week to complete it. And so here in this email, it gives you a little bit of update on what's going on in the project. It gives the peer evaluations, like for example, if this is me, I got 5 out of 5 on peer evaluations. It lists one more time all your team members. It gives you some information, and that's basically it. And so all you have to do is just you click on the link and it takes you to the weekly survey. And so every week, that's what you need to do. So the reason we ask you to complete this weekly survey is that we can monitor how you are doing as a team. So in the weekly survey, as you see, you will tell us pretty much the same things each week. So you will tell us which company you're working on. In our case, let's say we have the super abrasives. Then you will tell us which of the team members will be submitting the weekly deliverables. Last week for the early track, they had to submit the draft of the first report section. And so let's say my team member 3, and it's a made up name because, I'm not a real student, but, let's say that's his name from France, will be submitting the report. And the person will drop here the copy of whatever the team has completed so far on behalf of the whole team. Then there will be a few questions related to research. Every semester, we are trying to understand why some teams do better than others, why some people do better than others in the team environment, why some teams write better reports, or maybe why some teams have more conflicts, or why some people are elected leaders, or why some people perhaps have more satisfaction than others. So we have all kinds of theories. As you heard, we have about 200 professors participating in the project this semester. All of them are researchers, and we have all kinds of theories. So maybe that's your personality, or maybe that's your international experience, or maybe this is your IQ, or maybe this is your cultural intelligence, or maybe it's something else. And so occasionally we will ask you to complete a few of these questions so that we can sort of measure your personality or attitudes or cultural intelligence or whatever that might be. And so there will be a few questions of this kind. As you see, it's not really that many. And so we will ask you to answer these few questions. When the project is over, by the way, you will get the results of these tests so that you know how you compare it to the rest of the cohort. And often we also include some recommendations, like if there are some areas where our research shows that you need to improve, you will get some guide on how to improve your performance. Then there will be, most importantly, peer evaluations. So we ask you if you had any conflicts. Maybe I didn't have any interpersonal conflicts, but maybe I had a one process conflict and maybe one task argument. We will ask you to complete peer evaluations. Again, we want to know how you as a team member performing. Is the team happy with you? But also we want to hear from you how your team is doing. So maybe this person, yes, communicates with me many times. Helpful, oh, very helpful. Creative ideas, oh, very creative person. Shows leadership, oh, this person is the team leader, so excellent leader. Nice and friendly, not so much, mostly negative, so maybe. Or maybe another person never communicates with me, so never communicates, not helpful at all, and maybe not creative at all, and never leads, and then, but extremely friendly, like, or whatever, the answers might be. And so we will look at these numbers every week, and if everything's fine, we are happy. But if we see that there is a problem, if there is someone on the team who perhaps getting low peer evaluations, that's when we're like, okay, that's a problem. So let's see what's going on. And so one of the coaches may approach that person and ask if the person needs some help, or maybe if there is a conflict in the team, or what's going on here. We also will ask you if you are doing well, confident that you can do the report well. Maybe you do. Are you motivated to participate and actively work on the project? Oh, yes. Do you enjoy working with this? Oh, yes. Is everything clear? Well, I don't know. No, I'm a little lost. Or maybe, yes, everything's clear. Do you need any additional people on the team? For the first week, we may be able to add more people. Yes, please add one more student. Or no problem. We got enough people. And any other comments? Everything's fine. Or let me tell you the story that happened this week. Here is what was going on. Or let me tell you something that I learned this week. And so put as much information as possible here. We read it. We want to know what's going on. And when you're done, you submit your report, and it says that you're done with the survey. So that will be that weekly cycle. Very simple. You get the email usually on Wednesday. The survey is due by Sunday's end of the day. And we will look at them on Monday. And as I said, if there is a problem, we will try to help. Importantly, do not try to look things better than they are. If everything's fine, great. Tell us everything's fine. We're happy to hear that. That's what we want to hear. But if there is a problem, maybe if there is a team member who gives you a hard time, maybe if there is a team member who is not participating, do tell us. So we need to know, because unless we know, we will not be able to help you. And so that's why we have those weekly surveys. And that's pretty much it. So at the end, there will be the final product is the actual report that you will submit as a team. But we will also invite you to do a presentation, video presentation. And so we have over 1,500 teams. So it would be impossible to have a live presentation by each team for the client. because if we did that, it would be like 2 weeks of presenting nonstop, even if it's only like 10 minutes per presentation. But we will ask all teams to prepare a video presentation recording, so record it. We will look at those presentations, all our coaches. We will select the best ones, and those will present live to the clients. But everybody who did the recording will also get acknowledgement in the performance review and the certificate and the recommendation letter. And yes, once done, all of that is submitted, then our professors and our clients will read your work. So there will be usually 6, maybe 7 people reading each of the reports. And so we will then average their evaluations and select the winners. And then by the end of the year, probably in late December, we will then announce the best teams, we will announce the best professors, and then we will send out the certificates, the recommendation letters, and then probably a few weeks later, we'll start sending out the invitations to the best students to the X-Culture Symposium. Hopefully COVID will be over by that time and we will be in a position to start planning the next event, but that's a little too early to worry about that at this time. So I'm done. I see there are some questions and I'm happy to answer if there are more questions. But other than that, I guess I've said everything I was planning to say. So next week, there is some sort of a break. Yes, that's a very, very good question, Kevin. Yes, we have 1 week break, specifically one for some students for legitimate reasons often. Some students may have missed one test or perhaps didn't get a high enough grade on some test. And so we will use that break to give students with legitimate reasons to miss the test to catch up and complete it. Second, we didn't want you to pay until you are done with the theory phase. And so we will probably start sending out the acceptance letters this week. So once we have your tests, and so we will say you are done, you are definitely in, you can go ahead with your payment. And so we need that extra time to process those payments. And third, there may be still some questions, there may be some logistical issues. So we want to have that little break just to make sure that we can sort of transition from the theory to practice. But other than that, yes, you will have that break. And so the project will be, the teams will be formed on October the 4th. So any other questions? You can type them, you can raise your hand, and I'm done otherwise. So back to you, Rafael.
Okay, I just want to talk about the prize for best students. Okay, just let me share my screen again. So, okay, start on Monday, October. If you, as Dr. Vas already answered, if you miss or fail the end of the 4 tests, you have the last opportunity to retake next week. Okay. Here, already talked. Yes. Oh, you need to talk about the 2 bad evaluations.
Yes, that's a very good point. So it doesn't happen often. So out of 4,000 students in the late track, we may have maybe 5, maybe 6 on some weeks, students whose peer evaluations go below 2 out of 5. And so usually we use that as an arbitrary cutoff point. So once we see peer evaluations below 2, we know that something is wrong. We know if the team is not happy with the student probably is not doing a good job. And so first time we see it, we send an email to the student saying that your peer evaluations are low. We are not happy about it. Your team is not happy with you. So please try to reconnect with your team, try to work it out, see if you can basically improve your performance, and let us know if you need help. Maybe you are lost, maybe you are not sure what to do. Maybe there is a conflict in the team that we don't know about. Tell us what's going on and try to improve performance, or let us know if we need to help you. But then if the next week peer evaluations stay below 2.0, that's when we get really unhappy. And usually what we do in that case, we exclude the student from the team. So it's a very, very small percentage of students who get into that category. The vast majority of the participants get peer evaluations around 4. So 4.1 is usually the average. So, but, if it goes below, we basically warn you the first time, and then second time we exclude you from the project. It is important to mention that those few students per week, like maybe 3, 4 to 5, that may get into that category and may get excluded from the project. Almost always what happens is they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I was busy, I was sick, I was, I don't know, broke up with my girlfriend, boyfriend, and didn't have the time to focus. But I reconnected with my team. I spoke with them and they told me that they forgive me and they want me back on the team. And in that case, we reach out to the team, we ask if that's really true, and almost always it is true. And so even though we have a few students who get kicked out from the project, almost all of them basically reconcile with the team and get back on the team. And when that happens, we're happy. But there will be a few students, yeah, so there will be out of 4,000, there will be probably 10, 15 by the end of the semester who were legitimately excluded from the project for non-participation. I hope that's not going to be you. And when that happens, that's because peer evaluations went below 2.0, they didn't improve. We tried to help and the student didn't respond, or maybe never was able to kind of do a better job. And if that happens, that's the only sort of course of action we can take.
Thank you, Dr. Vas. So let's talk about the good part, right? The prizes. So for the best students throughout the semester, we will offer one free seat for the coaching program and 2 partial seats for the coaching program. Okay. So what are the criteria to choose the best student? We will look at the peer evaluations, the report grade, the final one, and also webinars attendance. Okay. These are the 3 most important criteria to be elected as the best and 2 second and third best students. We also include another criteria if needed to untie participation in our social media groups, so Discord, Facebook, and also we created an Instagram post. Actually, Ania did. Let me get the post here. Let me wait a minute so we can see it. Ania created a post for the students who passed the, can you guys see it? The theoretical phase. So we will share with you. You can add your photo here and you can post on our Instagram, okay? Whenever you post on your Instagram, just wait a minute, having issues here.
This is new. I like this initiative. So by the way, we had an interesting discussion with professors yesterday. Some professors are jealous that the academy students, you are getting much more attention than university students. So like you have all those virtual picnics and cooking shows and country visits and all these Instagram and Facebook activity. We don't really do much of that for the university students. Occasionally we do allow university students to attend your events, but we kind of treat them more as, you know, serious adults and they don't have that fun. And so some professors complained to me yesterday saying we had like a bigger meeting and they were saying that why we, you know, like basically why we discriminate against the university students, why we're not offering all this, you know, interesting activity. And so all I could say is that, you know, when you have thousands and thousands of them, it's very hard, like resources are just not there. But we'll see, maybe we'll offer more to the university students as well. But for now, enjoy that you have all these additional optional activities that university students do not have access to.
Yeah, so whenever you post the accomplishment of your theoretical phase, right? You add hashtag xculture, tag xculture.project, and create a creative message about your experience so far. The best ones we will post on our own account, okay? So make sure to add the hashtag and tag our Instagram account. And I think that's it. For now, do you guys have any questions, concerns?
Rafael, yeah, I see we have quite a few questions in the Q&A window or chat window. So what are the material requirements for the practical phase? So in the challenge instructions, you will have a list of things that need to be submitted each week. But briefly, you basically would be required to tell us or give us copies of what your team has produced each week. It doesn't have to be a finished document. It could be anything that you put on paper. But we would like to see at some point, you know, the draft of the first section of the report, the draft of the second section of the report. And so what we do with that is we send it to the coaches. Actually, I should probably show that. So we have a wonderful team of coaches who look at your work and share feedback each week. Again, it's optional, you don't have to read it, but if you would like to, so you have access to this folder. And so each week they provide feedback on each of the company sort of challenges. So they basically say, we have read your weekly submissions and here is our feedback. This is what we saw. So this is, for example, feedback for the teams that work on the differ client challenge. And so they, talk about some common, problems. They provide some advice. They sometimes provide a little bit more kind of snapshots of good work, bad work. And so obviously, as we progress over time and more work is submitted, the feedback becomes more and more detailed. So, but also we share that information with the professors and again, teachers as well. So if you have a teacher, a professor, they may provide some feedback based on your readings. But we also kind of take a look at it. We want to just know how well your team is progressing. So if it's a lot, if it's little, there is no grade for that. It's not a problem if you don't have much in those intermediate weekly, deliverables. But we would like to see some progress. And I'll be honest with you again, maybe I shouldn't say that, but in the first years of X-Culture, we did not ask those weekly deliverables. So we basically said, here is your team, see you in 2 months with the final report. And so what we saw was that many teams didn't do much until the last few days, and then they tried to write the whole report in the last week. And that's obviously not good. The quality is not good, it's not fun for you. And so now we have those weekly deliverables, mainly so that we can prompt you to work on the project week after week and not wait until the last minute. But as I said, we can also this way provide feedback, help you if needed with all kinds of things. And Now, Rafael, I think this is more for you. So progress results on the theory tests, I think that's something you handle. Maybe you can give more if the students have received their performance evaluations and they know if they passed or not.
So you guys will receive your results by Monday, Tuesday. I will compile all your previous results and send you through a mail. Okay, so Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. And Rafael, I think the next one is also for you about the stipends. So that's something that you primarily handle. So do students already know who gets the stipend or doesn't?
No, not yet. I will review all the documents this week. And whenever I send you the results to the test, I will also contact the students that require for stipends if they are approved or not. So probably on Tuesday.
Yeah. Dr. B, maybe you want to say also a few words about our sort of logic with the stipends. I mean, on the one hand, we do need some resources. I mean, the reason we charge for participation is because, we do need some resources to pay for some of the, kind of essential expenses to run the project. On the other hand, we want everyone to be able to participate. And so, Dr. B, I mean, maybe you can say a little bit more why not everyone automatically gets a stipend and who gets the stipend and how it works.
Well, first of all, I put my background as the ocean. Can you guys see this? I'm just learning how to use the background. But for those of you guys who don't know, I am actually in South Florida, and we are famous for our beautiful tropical weather and our beautiful beaches. And Emily lives like 3.5 hours north of me. But Emily, I grew up in Tampa, Florida, and Emily does not have the same view of the beaches. This is like, we are like the Caribbean down here. So I just want you to know that wherever we are all over the world, if you tune in to X-Culture, I will be here in the beach. Okay, so let's talk about the stipend. So what Dr. Vas said is correct, that it takes money to run this program. And the more funding we have, the better programming we can provide. The goal is to become completely independent without having donations from the outside fund this program, so that we can continue to provide it to you and to the future students that are coming through. And the other thing about us charging a fee to join this program is that we want you to have skin in the game. C.K. Prahalad talked about the wealth at the bottom of the pyramid. He was an economist. I believe he taught at one of the Ivy League schools. He was an Indian economist. And he talked about how when when a person, regardless of their capacity to pay, has skin in the game, they are more invested in the activity that they're doing. Not only that, but what we're providing for you has so much value. And what our students pay, and I know that not every country will have the capacity to pay in the same way that Western students can pay. But the way that we value what we do as a part of the human race, right, is that we pay for it, which we earn the money to pay for it, right? And then we work towards something that's so much better than we can do alone, which is X Culture or X Culture Academy in this specific project. And eventually, as you accomplish and as you complete a task, the value that you put on what you have done is so much more than when somebody gives it to you for nothing. Okay, so that's one of the reasoning. But really the main reason is we need to pay people to be able to provide you with better programming. Imagine that Qualtrics needs to be paid for, Zoom needs to be paid for. What else? Dropbox needs to be paid for. The workforce.
Website preparation for the events,
Yeah.
honorarium for the volunteers, printing the certificates if people want to get the hard copy of the certificate. So unfortunately, there are some expenses not related to the salaries of the professors. So
Yeah,
like
and actually,
Dr. Dean idea, we don't have salaries. So
we don't get paid. Yeah, actually.
At some point, we're in the calculations that if we had like 1 million participants and everybody paid, like whatever dollars. So yeah, actually, maybe we can even make some money. But
Right,
so far, no, it's a labor of love with minimum honoraria for the many wonderful people.
This is a complete labor of love for me and for Dr. Vas. And don't tell where we work, but I feel like we put more hours into running X Culture than we do actually. I know you do, Dr. Vas, the jobs that we get paid for, but don't tell anybody that. But yeah, that's really the reason why we pay, or we need you to pay at the very least. For those of you guys who are granted the stipend, and there's only a limited number of stipends that we can provide you guys. It's only a portion of the total population that actually register and complete, because it's just not possible for us to run this program without funding. And we can't keep asking people to give us money, because eventually that just gets old, right? So
the good news is that we do get some, or trying to get some sponsorship. And so like, for example, I had a big meeting with one of my at my university. There is an office that is responsible for fundraising. And so they promised, we'll see if that happens, but they promised to raise some funds, for example, for the students to go to the X-Culture Symposium. So we may be able to offer some stipends. The companies that work with us often support some of the students, again, to go to the symposium. Likewise, when the time will come for the symposium, again, while you're paying for the program itself, for many students, we may be able to help you fund some funding to attend those events. Like, for example, among many things that we do to help you fund your trip is we allow you to provide as many names of the potential sponsors as possible, and or as many as you want. And we will send strong support letters to those companies asking for funding for you. And we've had many cases in the past where the city would support the students, the university, the companies, the employees, or even some of our own companies would give some money towards your stipends. So therefore, yes, we're trying to make it work, but at the same time, some resources need to be raised, obtained for us to be able to offer the program.
Yeah. The other thing is that we have identified critical, let's say, tangible things that document to us that you are actually in need of a stipend, and that you are a student who is deserving of a stipend. So Raphael, I actually want you to tell them what those documents are, and when they have to turn them in, because that's also critical, you guys, right? Not only do you need to turn in those documents, but the timeliness of it is also important, because, you know, there's only a certain amount of student stipends that we'll be providing. So Raphael, give them the details of specifically what documents, when the deadlines are, and then when they will know.
Okay. You guys will need to submit an explanation on why do you need the stipends, transcript card, into recommendation letter, one from a teacher and the other from a counselor or director of your school or coach, anything like that. Okay. We can accept the documents until September 30, but please make sure to submit as soon as possible, because we will only have this week to process the documents and the payments. Okay.
There is also a question about internships, and I think it might also relate to jobs. We often get questions, you know, can you help me get a job in the United States, for example? And so it's very important to say that we are not in a business of sort of finding your job, a job for you. So we provide the training, we provide the experience, we provide the recommendation letter, and those have been shown to be very helpful when you are looking for jobs or stipends or applying for, you know, to universities. So we have a lot of stories where students showed their ex-culture credential and said that I do have experience of working with people from different countries. And so that made all the difference. The exceptions could be, how should I put it, without giving false hope. So every semester we have a few students who get job offers or internship offers from the companies that participate in ex-culture. It's a sizable number, but it's a small percentage of all participants. So we always have companies that, you know, read your report and like, oh, this is interesting. So who wrote it? Can you introduce me to that student? And they would say, hey, would you like to work for my company? Or would you like to be a representative of my company in your country? But again, that's, you know, maybe 5, maybe 10 students a semester, so out of thousands. So if you are in this project to find a job, so to say, no, we don't offer jobs. But if you're in this project to earn experience and credentials that will impress future employers, and you can have a better chance of getting a job, then yes, that's something we can help with. So, yeah.
100%. So I do have a success story, but this is a university student, okay? But that does not mean that you as an academy student can eventually go to university and then eventually become whatever you want to be using ex-culture as a, let's say, the global virtual team certification as a part of your resume credentials, okay? So I am currently teaching a student from Sri Lanka. She is an international student here in the United States, and she actually completed ex-culture in the spring of 2020. While she was a student, she worked on the Alibaba project. The Alibaba project, as you know, is from China via the University of Milan, I think, from Italy. Okay, did exceptionally well, just a brilliant student. And again, for you guys who are only high school students at this point, you still have all of these years ahead of you to become that brilliant student. So she came to see me last week, and because she had completed her entire class, and it's only September, class doesn't end until the end of October. She had completed her entire class perfectly in 1 month. And I was like, you know, why are you doing all of your work so quickly? And she's like, well, Dr. B, I just got a job offer from the US Food and Drug Administration as a business analyst in the United States. Now, you guys, this is kind of like, you know, if there was a falling star in the sky, and you know how rare it is to see a falling star in the sky. So she's like that one falling star, right? That everybody aspires to become that one student. I've never actually met one who got a job while she was an international student in the MBA program, and then a job such as a business analyst for the Food and Drug Administration of the United States. And So as you know, if you go to a university in the United States, you get 1 year of OPT. So you can work using your 1 year visa to work after you graduate. And eventually she's going to work on getting a visa to work in the United States. But it's a climb. It's a big climb. And I asked her, so Emily, well, now I'm telling you her name. What is it that you did that made you succeed? And she said it was a compilation of different things that she accomplished while she was going through her high school and college years. And also included in that was her ex-culture experience. So you guys, it is not only ex-culture, but we are one of the many, many, many things that you have to accomplish in order to climb that ladder to become whatever you aspire to be.
There is a very smart question, good question from an anonymous at India. I don't know who the person is, but the person is really, really paying attention. So the question was, you said that we have to submit our reports via Turnitin, but when you showed us how to do it, you showed Qualtrics. Good attention. So I'll say a couple of words here. Yes, so the weekly deliverables will be submitted directly through Qualtrics. Basically, you click on the link for the weekly survey and drag your document right into that survey. The final report is submitted via Turnitin, and that's the one that we check for plagiarism. So we don't check your weekly submissions. But there is one interesting twist. The second last deadline is the full draft of your report. So not the finished one, the full draft. And that one also needs to be submitted via Turnitin. And for that one, you will actually see your plagiarism report. So you can submit in the last week whatever you have written at that time, and you can check it for plagiarism and see what the professors will see once you submit the final report. What happens sometimes, almost always, it's all good. You submit the draft, there is no plagiarism, there are a few quotes, maybe a few references that are flagged, as copied and pasted, but that's fine. So usually up to 15% of the report that is copied and pasted. Usually that means that these are legitimate quotes, legitimate, like extracts that you wanted to include in your report. But if there is a problem, so out of 1,000 teams or so, there will be probably like 20 teams where like 30% of the report is copied and pasted. You will be able to check for that. So in that last week, you can submit your report, including multiple times if you need to. And if you see that there is a problem, if you see that maybe one section of the report was copied and pasted, you will know that in advance, and as a team, you can do something about it. And so historically, when that happens, usually that's, you asked one of your team members to write a section, and that team member copied and pasted that section. And usually when you confront the team member and say, hey, your section is copied and pasted. So usually the answers would be, oh, my English is not so good, and I found this, exactly what I needed online, so I thought I would copy it so that it sounds better. Not good, yeah. Or if you Google, you can find ex-culture reports from the previous semesters. Many teams share it, or even like, I'll show you something here that I probably, not that I shouldn't, but so if you go to the ex-culture's website and you go to the winners link, if you click here on winners, for every semester, you not only will see the list of the winners, but you will also see the copies of their reports. So if you go to like best teams, you click here like 2020, so last year, this time, you will actually see the collection of the best like 20 reports or something like that. So you click here, you download them, and you will see the full, I think it was like maybe 20, 30 best teams, and you can literally open them and you can see, the winning reports. And so occasionally you may have a team member who will say, well, these guys worked on the same challenge. What company was that actually? ZenCV. ZenCV doesn't participate this semester, but if they participated like 4 times in a row. Maybe you really liked what that team wrote and you say, hey, instead of writing that from scratch, maybe I can copy and paste that section. Again, no, you cannot, you should not. Plagiarism is bad. You can look at the ideas and develop them and write an even better report based on what you see. But in any case, you will have a chance to submit the draft through Turnitin. And if there are problems, you will know about it. And then it's up to you as a team to fix that problem in the remaining week.
So I think that's it for today, guys. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to send us a message in Academy.
There is one more issue that we need to
Okay.
settle. So I see we have a very heated discussion going on about where the beaches are the best. And I don't know. I mean, so where I live, I'm like 3 hours from the shore, so I don't have the beaches. But these are the colors we have now, like literally a couple of days ago. I bet you don't have colors like that and big trees like that in Florida, do you? So
No.
yeah. So, but about the beaches, I don't know. I mean, Tampa or Miami. So who has
Oh,
better beaches?
hands down, Emily, you know, I mean, I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Okay, hands down, South Florida waters are spectacular. Like when you go into South Beach, for example, on a nice clear day, you can go up to your neck and you can see the little fishies biting on your toes. Like the clarity is just perfect. And
Yeah,
you know,
you don't
I
get
have,
that over here.
yeah, I've been all over the world. Okay, so I grew up in the Philippines up until the age of 10. I've been in Europe in the North Sea. I've been in Italy, in the Mediterranean, in Greece. Where else? I think
Wait a second.
Caribbean and Asia have the best beaches.
Yeah, South Florida is beautiful, but I see we have some students here today, like right now from Angola, from Indonesia, from
Yeah, yeah.
Taiwan, from Turkey. Those are beautiful beaches too. India has some very beautiful beaches. So I don't know. So
Well, okay, so and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I come from the Philippines, so I'm very familiar with the ocean in Asia, and they are spectacular. Now, if you want to go to a beach that's very exclusive, not populated, untouched by man, like don't come to South Florida, because everybody in the whole world, I mean, we are like the Paris of South America, okay? But Asia, we have the most beautiful untouched beaches in the world. The problem with that is they're hard to get to, and there's not a lot of restaurants. You know, we have to eat somewhere, and I'm not cooking.
wait a second, then from that perspective, North Carolina may be the best place to go for beaching, because our beaches are almost as good as yours, but you can have literally like 100 miles without any people. So
But you can't swim in it because it's cold and it's rough, and you can't.
What are you talking about? No, it's not cold by any stretch. I mean, like nine months out of the, in the year, it's actually very comfortable. So yes, maybe December we need to go as far as Jacksonville, but now I mean, like we're talking about water like 80 degrees.
So Vas, here's what we're gonna.
As far as you can see, no people at all. So
okay, you come down to my beach and I'll go down to your beach, and we will do a criteria schematic and see which one hits all of our criterias.
Yeah. So we need to do a few more symposia in these areas to settle it once and for all.
Well, actually, we went to the beach in Italy, and what was really nice about going to the beach in Italy is that we were with our community, right? Our ex-culture community. So for those of you who guys are watching this crazy interaction with your two professors here, we have a great community, and we really hope that you find ex-culture as your extended family, that you make great friends, that you start to build these relationships with people from all over the world, because really the ultimate goal is for you to grow your cultural intelligence and for you to become a good global citizen. Okay, we want you to become the best version of yourself, and this is only the beginning. So good luck with your studies, good luck with your project. Reach out to your coaches if you need them. Raphael is like 1000% very, very accessible. Just make sure you email him at academy@xculture.org. Okay, you guys?
Thank you everyone for being
here.
Peace
and love.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, I forgot. Next week we will have a cooking show. So join us again for next week, okay?
Oh, wait, who's cooking?
Who's cooking? What country?
Actually, we don't know yet. We will set this week, but we will let you know.
Okay.
Bye-bye.